welcome to episode 145 of the Craft House Magic podcast. My name's Ellie and I'm coming to you from Norwich in Norfolk in the UK, and today is the 24th of December. So welcome everybody, and I wish you all a happy festive season. So today I have knitting, I have cross stitch, I have a gadget to show you, I have some dressmaking, I have some quilting and some other sewing as well, and I also have a question from the Ask Me Anything thread. You can find me on Instagram, Ravelry and Facebook as Craft House Magic, and I have a Craft House Magic website which includes hand-dyed yarns, handmade project bags, stitch markers, higher knitting needles, clover crochet hooks and also bag making supplies. And I'll leave links to all the social medias in the description bar down below. We have 3 Makalongs going on at the moment. They're all going on in the Ravelry group, but also you can use the hashtags on Instagram. So first of all, there's the Craft House Magic Gift Along 2020. The hashtag is CHM Gift Along 2020, and that is basically all the gift making that you're doing for other people, or gifts for yourself as well. Whether it's for Christmas, whether it's for a birthday, or whatever reason you have to gift somebody something, come and join in, and that's till the end of December. We also have the Festive Frenzy 2020, is all things festive, whatever craft it is, come and join in. I do like to see what you've been making. It's really inspirational to see what new things that you've discovered. And that hashtag is Festive Frenzy 2020. I will leave the hashtags in the description bar down below as well if you don't catch what I'm saying as I'm talking. We also have the Mistletoe Kisses Makalong, and basically that's if you've purchased either one of the patterns for the Mistletoe Kisses socks or the advent calendar, which is the Cupid's arrow wrap, or whether you've purchased the actual yarn itself. So you don't have to do both the patterns and the yarn, you can do one or the other, if that makes sense. So if you've got the yarn from the advent calendar and you're using it to make something else, that's absolutely fine. If you're using the Mistletoe Kisses sock yarn for something else, that's absolutely fine. Or if you're knitting the patterns with somebody else's yarn, that's absolutely fine as well. So do come and join in. So let's get into the knitting, shall we? So first of all, I have a cowl to show you. And I did show this without the tassels in the last episode, but I've added tassels and I think that gives it a little bit of extra so that it looks really pretty. So this is the Midsummer Haze cowl by Locatelli. And this yarn is my own hand-dyed yarn, and it's the I Want to Break Free colourway, and it's on this gorgeous Alpaca, Cashmere and Silk 4-ply yarn. I'm going to take my Christmas hat off so that I can actually wear it on the podcast so that you can see what it looks like now. I've got the tassels on. Even though it looks really long, I really like how it drapes around the neck once you've actually got it on, and it's really cosy. So my mother-in-law Liz knitted this as a sample for the shop for me in the I Want to Break Free colourway on my Alpaca, Cashmere and Silk blend yarn, and it is so soft and lovely, and I just love these tassels on it. So I basically used the entire 100 grams for this, and in fact I could have put tassels on there's some points around the back of the neck as well, and I didn't have enough yarn to do tassels on there, but I don't think it matters too much because obviously the front bit is the bit you're going to see with the tassels hanging. You could possibly leave out the tassels if you ran out of yarn. So because Liz is a loose knitter, I asked her to go down a needle size, which was down 1/4 of a millimetre down from the size that it said in the pattern, so that she'd have plenty of yarn to knit it, so that I'd have some left over for the tassels. And it was fine. So I shall show you the back where there's no tassels. Just on the back there, you can see that there's 2 points there that don't have tassels on, but do you know what? It's down the back of my neck anyway, so I'm absolutely not bothered about that at all. I think if I'd have knitted this, because I'm such a tight knitter, I think I would have had plenty to do all of the tassels. So it just depends on your gauge really. I don't normally worry too much about gauge when I'm knitting cowls and things because it's not as important. It's really good to be able to knit a whole cowl out of one skein of yarn and to sort of use up every little piece of yarn and not waste any. So my second thing I have to show you is a pair of socks, and these were knitted using my simple top-down sock pattern, which is available for free on my website and also on Ravelry as well. But I just knitted up a nice simple pattern because I just thought that this yarn was gorgeous. So this is a Regia yarn, and it's a premium with silk. Absolutely gorgeous. It's so plump, and they're going to be so warm to wear, I think. So I'm really pleased that I finished those. I will leave a link in the description bar to the colourway. I think it was a 0005 colourway, but I'll leave a link in the description bar as to where you can get it from one of the European sellers, because I'm not sure whether you can get this colourway from the UK at all. But I know they do seem to do the plain colours, which have got the same yarn base underneath. But this colour I thought was really beautiful. So that's one pair finished that I can now wear now that I've shown them to you. I have a second pair of socks, and these are basically the same pattern as well. The free top-down sock pattern that I have on Ravelry and on my website. But this time I actually knitted a couple of rows of the contrast colour just underneath the cuff there. I'm not quite sure whether you can really see it very well because purple's integrated into the rest of the sock quite well. But I thought I'd give it a go, because a lot of people do a couple of rows to start off on the cuff in the contrast colour as well. So that's those. Finished and ready to wear. And this is my I Put a Spell on You colourway, and the contrast is the purple, which is Spellbound, and those are sort of my Halloween socks. But I think they're quite a good colour for men's socks as well, because they're not too in your face, depending on whether they like the purple contrast, of course. So that's sock project number 2. I have another pair of finished socks, and these are the Pebbles and Pathways socks, and this is a gorgeous, gorgeous pattern by Marceline Smith, who's from the Hey Brownberry podcast, and I absolutely love this pattern. It's got the most gorgeous cable down the side and some squishy ribbon down the front of the foot, and this is a toe-up sock pattern, which is really interesting. I got Adam's mum to knit me these as a sample because they're in my Teenage Dirtbag colourway, and I just wanted to try out this new yarn base as well. So I normally have just merino and nylon, or merino, nylon, stellina, or BFL and nylon for socks, but this one has got merino and tencel in it, and I wanted to have some knit up so that I could try the durability of this sock base before I started selling it in the shop. But these are gorgeous. Thank you so much for knitting these, Liz. And they're all blocked and ready for Adam to wear to test out the durability of the sock base. He's very good like that. I love this pattern. It's such a lovely pattern that Mars has designed, and I will be knitting more of these as well. I have knit it before myself, and I'm bound to knit it again. It's got a really nice heel as well, which fits really well. So that is all the finished socks I have, but I cast on another pair this week because it was Christmas, of course. I had another beautiful yarn gift, and this was the yarn that I'm using. It's a Mallee sock, and this means Christmas edition, and it's by Fern and Wool. It says 2012-18 on it for the colourway, I think, but that's what it says on the ball band anyway. This is what the yarn looks like in the ball. How cute is that? Christmassy. Gorgeous. So, I cast it on the other day, and not only have I knitted the cuff, I've also knitted quite a bit of the heel flap, and I think that this yarn works really well with the heel flap as well, just because of I've done some slip stitches just to make it a bit more durable there, but I just love this. Isn't it gorgeous? So Christmassy. I think Adam's probably going to nick these because he always does. He's very good though. He wears them all the time, so I don't mind knitting him socks. He does have about 30 or 40 pairs now though, so I could nick another pair myself. So those are on the needles as well, and I've been really enjoying knitting those because I'm feeling all festive at the moment, watching some Christmas movies. but also I have cast on some decorations, and actually I've got some finished as well to show you. So this first one I have to show you, I'm not very good at pronouncing the actual name of the pattern, so I'm going to put the name on the screen, and I'll leave a link in the description bar to the pattern as well. It is a free pattern, and it's by Carolina Eckerdal. I've probably made a terrible job at pronouncing that as well, but this is what I've knitted. So this is basically a little star that I'm going to put as a little decoration on the Christmas tree. I just love this shape. It was a little bit fiddly to cast on, but I think now I've done one, I could probably do the second one easier. So I'm going to try and see if I can get another one knitted before Christmas. So I used my Thriller colourway, but this is on the BFL base, which makes it look a much more of a matte texture, the colour. Definitely enjoying knitting the Christmas decorations. Secondly, I cast on another Christmas decoration, and this is just called the Mitten Ornaments by Jared Flood. Now he gives the instructions for one of these. Let's see if I can hold these up without dropping them. So I have basically done the pattern, but then I've reversed it as well, so that I've got a pair of gloves, and I've joined them with a little crochet chain so that I can hang it on a branch just like that. But aren't they the most gorgeous things? They are literally so tiny. To illustrate how tiny they are, look at it on my little finger. Aren't they the cutest thing ever? I love them. I quite fancy knitting a pair of tiny little socks for my Christmas tree as well. But this yarn that I knitted it in is one of the Advent minis that I've had from Ducky Darlings, and it was in the Poison Apple colourway, and I just loved that bright Christmassy red. I thought perfect for the gloves, and they are sparkly as well. Because the light's all filtered in here, you can't really see how sparkly they are, but when I showed it on the video log, you could see how sparkly it was then. I am definitely going to knit another pair of these, and they'll be really good to put as little sort of tags on gifts and things for next year, so I must remember that pattern. Really enjoyed knitting those. Lovely easy pattern to follow, and this isn't actually proper cable, it's just a variation on SSKs and knit two together. Ideal if you're not a fan of cabling stitches. I have another Christmas ornament that I've casted on. So if you watched the vlog that was up earlier today, you'll have seen that I've been knitting this. And I didn't tell you what it was that I was knitting, but I'm going to tell you now. So this is going to be a tiny little Christmas jumper, which is going to be the cutest thing ever as well. Because I've got this thing about knitting miniature things at the moment. So the pattern is by Nina Isaacson. It has got the cutest little polar neck and sleeves on this, so I'm very excited to finish this and get this hung on the Christmas tree. Although I have done it in green, so it might not show up very well, so it may be hung somewhere else as a decoration around the house. But it's just, I just thought it was a lovely green colour, and this was one of the minis that Jean had given me in our little mini swap that we do for Christmas. Jean doesn't normally label the yarns that she sends me, just because she knits so many different things. She never remembers which yarn is which, but I'm just really happy to get a little nugget of special yarn with each day of the Advent. That's what it looks like in the ball. Really gorgeous green. The cable, oops, it's a proper cable on this one, on both sides of the jumper, and I think this is a free pattern as well, so if you're looking for a little jumper pattern, this is ideal. I haven't obviously knitted the whole thing yet, but so far it seems quite well written, and I'll pop a picture on the screen so you can see what it looks like in the end. So I'm hoping to get that finished tonight, really. I've got to knit two little tiny sleeves and do the neck decreases, so hopefully that won't take too long. So now it's my cross stitch section. If you're not interested in any of these particular sections, I'm going to put timestamps in the description bar down below so you can skip to whichever one you want. I have been showing this every day on Vlogmas, but I obviously haven't shown the whole thing since the last podcast. And actually I haven't really looked at it since the last podcast as well, and I'm actually quite surprised of how far I've got. So I have basically just got to finish the numbers and my initials on the bottom here, finish the frame bit all the way around, and then I've got some flowers down this side. I'm obviously not going to finish it by Christmas now, but I am determined to finish it by the end of the year, and then I can start my wintry house scene at the beginning of January. But I love it. So this was a vintage pattern that I picked up from a charity shop, and the pattern is by Moira Blackburn, and I will leave a link in the description bar because they've started selling it again. Mine came as a kit with some 18 count Ada, but I think that the pattern is now for sale as a sort of separate thing, so you can put it on whatever Ada you want to, or linen or whatever. But I'm really pleased that I've actually finally got to close to finishing it, because it seems like I've been working on this for years. In fact, I have. Let's face it, Ellie, it's probably been about 3 years since I started it. So that's my cross stitch section done, but I do have a gadget this week. Now, a few people mentioned that they saw on my vlogs that I was using this, and they wondered what it was for. So this is called a Simflex, and it's basically, the main function of it is to work out button placement so that it is easier than having to measure out all the time. Because when you pull this out, these points here are all equidistant to each other. So if you want to make buttonholes on a jacket or something, you can just open it up to the point where you want the first button and the last button to finish, and then it's already measured it for you, which is brilliant. There are measurements on the actual sort of ruler as well. There's a measurement of how long you want your buttonholes if you're marking the exact length of the buttonholes as well, and there is a length measurement on these so you can place things in exactly the right position. If you're doing pleats and things like that, anything that you want to spread something out equidistantly, it is a brilliant tool. Now, I'd seen these online for ages, and I didn't purchase one because they were costing an absolute fortune, because they were originally, I think, an American product, and to ship it over they were really expensive. But I've noticed these days they do sell them in a lot more shops. I saw on Guthragani they'd got some, and So Essential, but I actually, when the last time I looked, they looked like they were out of stock, but hopefully after Christmas they might restock them. But I'll leave some links to where you can get this from in the description bar down below. I'm finding this really useful for button placement, and I've got something to show you that I did some buttons on earlier this week or the week before. I can't remember what day it was now. Vlogmas is blurred into one, but I have been finding this really useful. So that's my gadget for the week, but I'm now swiftly going to move on to the item that I made the buttonholes on. So, Barbara, would you like to come through and show us what you're wearing? Thank you very much, Barbara. So Barbara is wearing my new Christmas dress, which is crazy fabric that's got little snowmen all over it. And actually I sell this in my shop because I bought a massive bolt to make project bags with, but I also sell it by the half metre as well. But I thought, I need some of this fabric to make me a dress for Christmas Day to wear, because everyone needs a Christmas dress, don't they? And also I can wear it to sort of Christmas parties when we can actually go out the house again. So this is the penny dress by Sew Over It, and I have made another version of this pattern before. But I found with the first version that even though I extended the bodice an inch, I needed another inch there. So I've extended this bodice another inch, and now it fits perfectly. I'm really pleased with the fit of this. So my last version I did in a cotton lawn, and I really liked the way that that sort of flows, and I was worried about using quilting cotton to make a dress with, because I've never done that before. But actually I quite like this one, because the shoulders have like a panel across the shoulder, and then there's some gathers across the front here which gathers the material which then shapes over the bust. It doesn't look too bulky just here above the bust, which I like. I think because it is a quilter's cotton, it does probably accentuate my bust area more, but it accentuates the places that should be accentuated, so I don't mind too much. It is a half circle skirt on the bottom, which I absolutely love. It feels really fancy, and I could pop a very bouffant underskirt underneath to make it sort of stick out, to have that sort of vintage look. I am really pleased with how this has come out, and I managed to actually sew it up in a day, mainly because I'd sewn it before so I knew what I was doing, but also because there isn't actually that many panels in this dress, and there's quite a simple collar that hasn't got a stand on it. There's no collar stand on this collar, it just lays right against the shirt. I added some black buttons because I thought that went with his little hat, and it's got an elasticated waist. If you watched the vlog earlier this month, I did wear it with a belt over the top, which I think looks a little bit better because it's quite a lot of red and it sort of brings it together a bit more. I will be wearing this Christmas Day, so you'll have another opportunity to see it on me. I'll do some twirls in the morning as well, like I have been on the previous Vlogmas days. But I'm so pleased I've actually made this, because for a couple of years now I've been thinking I want to make a Christmas dress, but I haven't had chance, or I just never got round to it, and now I have. So let's turn you round, Barbara, so everyone can see the back of the garment. So you can probably see the snowmen a bit better from here. I think that because it's sort of red background as well, it sort of looks Christmassy from afar, not just close up when you can see the snowmen on it. So, thank you very much, Barbara. So, I have some more sewing Christmassy things to show you. First of all is my angel. I have shown you these things in the vlogs before, but I think because the lighting's better on the podcast, you'll be able to see them a little bit better. And I thought I'd tell you a little bit more about the details. There are some little clips of me making these things on Vlogmas videos though as well, if you wanted to watch those. So first of all, I have my angel that I finally made. So this is made from a tilde pattern for, I think they're called the Summer Angel in the book. So the book that I got it from was this one, but a couple of years ago I made this version which follows the size of the pattern exactly, and I didn't quite realise how large she was going to be, so I made her up and then I went to put her on the Christmas tree. She was way too big. She looked a bit silly. So what I did is I used my photocopier to reduce the size of the pieces 50% apart from the wings. And she was a bit of a nightmare to stuff those tiny little legs, to be honest, and tiny little arms. But I think it was worth it. But I did use the wings the same size, so they're exactly the same wings pattern for both of those. But I thought because she was going to sit on the top of the Christmas tree, she should have a big set of wings. So those are the two that I've made. I've basically used the same construction technique for the hair and the rest of the sort of body. I did use the dress pattern out of the book for this one as well, whereas I sort of just made up the lacy skirt for this one. But I thought it might be fun to have those really cool sleeves. So on this one I added some pom-pom trim all around the edge of the sleeves, and the part where the dress is joined to the lace at the top, and also where the dress finishes and the lace goes past it, just because I thought it finished off the edges better. I added some sequins on top of the lace to give it a little bit of sparkle, and I also thought that the dress up here needed a little bit of sparkle as well, so I made her a sort of necklace. And I used there's a bit of ribbon that attaches her dress as well. If I pull this, it just opens up as a wrap dress, so I could make a different outfit for her next year. We shall see. I have stitched the wings to the back of her dress though, so I'd have to undo that. But if I decide she needs a new outfit, it's quite possible. I've got several tilde books and I've been flicking through these, and I wanted to make a stocking. Now, I'd made a stocking earlier this month for my friend Shelley's son Robin, and I'd done like a Santa Claus applique on the front, and I haven't got it to show you, I'm afraid, but earlier this month I had it on Vlogmas. I think it was day 7 if you wanted to have a look. But I thought I wanted to have a slightly more sophisticated adult style stocking to go on our fireplace for Adam and I. So I was flicking through this book and there was a stocking in here, which was the sort of tilde style, which is always massively elongated. So this is a stocking pattern in this tilde book. But this to me was a little bit too long. So basically I used the foot pattern, but I sort of cut it off much lower so that it wasn't quite as long. I must admit, I don't always think the children instructions are the most detailed for making things. You have to have a little bit of sewing experience before you do it. But I tried to show the steps that I did for making these on the vlogs to help you if you haven't done them before. So these are the stockings that I made for Adam and I. So you can see that they're basically the same panels, but they have this one and this one switched around, so they do look slightly different. One has an A on it that I free motion stitched, and one has an E on, and they're all free motion stitched. And I did do like a vermicelli quilting all over the body of the stocking as well. You can see here probably a little bit better than some of the other panels where I've done it. So those are all finished and ready to hang up on the fireplace. I don't know if I'll actually put anything in them, but they are functional. You can put things inside if you want to. When I was making it, I noticed that, to be honest, this length, even though it's quite a lot shorter than the original pattern, if you actually line these, it's a bit of a pain putting your arm in to put things the right way round, because it's quite narrow. So goodness knows how you'd end up turning the longer ones inside out. It'd be very fiddly. So those finished, and I feel like I've sort of got to the point now where I've got a decent amount of handmade Christmas decorations around the house now. I've had those things on my list a while, so I've sort of ticked them off, so that's good. So in this book, The Fairy Tale Wonderland, there was also a ballerina which I did consider using as my fairy on the Christmas tree. So this is the pattern that I considered doing for the top of the Christmas tree as well. I could have added wings to that one instead, but I really liked her hair and some other features of the way her body was constructed, so I ended up reducing the size in the other book. So these are out of 2 different Tilda books, and I'll put links to both of them in the description bar down below. They're both quite nice. Both of them have got several lovely projects to make in there. So last of all, I have the Ask Me Anything question from the Ask Me Anything thread. Now I did promise Tracy that I'd answer this in one of the Vlogmas videos, but I completely forgot, but I have remembered to include it here, so I hope you're watching, Tracy. So her question was, if I was on a desert island, which craft would I take with me? Would it be yarn and knitting needles? Would it be a sewing machine and material to make a garment? Would it be crochet hooks and some yarn to make something out of crochet? Whatever other crafty goodness that I've been up to. Now, Tracy, that is the most hard question. If it was just for sort of entertainment value, I think I would go for knitting, because I feel that I could get a lot of hours of enjoyment out of a relatively small amount of yarn for being on a desert island. But if it was in terms of just which craft do I prefer generally, that is a very hard question. I always like to mix it up a bit. I'm excited about doing lots of different things. If I really had to choose, I'd probably say a sewing machine and fabric to make a garment or something, really. But it is a very close call. So I'm afraid that's all I've got to share with you today. I just wanted to mention with my shop, I'm not posting things out until the 30th of December, just because Christmas post is absolutely madness. And it's just best to wait for all that to be over before I post anything out again. So thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for watching all my Vlogmas videos if you've been following those as well. And I wish you all the most fabulous festive season, and also Happy New Year. So I shall see you soon on the podcast. I may have next week off, I don't know, I'll see. If I do have a week off, I will have lots of more crafty things to share with you, so it'll all be good. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I shall see you next time. Bye!